I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today we're making chocolate mousse. Chocolate mousse really hasn't been on my radar all that much until lately. We went away on vacation, we had it at a couple of different places, and I was like, this is really good and we need to make a video on how to make this. It's one of those desserts that I believe is very low effort for a very high impact. Most people see chocolate mousse like, ooh, that's fancy, it's mousse, it's French, wow, that's amazing. But at the end of the day, it's a dessert that is really, really easy to make. This method is super easy, takes about 15 minutes at the most, and you get a really beautiful dessert at the end. For my chocolate mousse, this is what you're gonna need. Two types of chocolate, milk chocolate and dark chocolate, instant espresso powder, cream of tartar, eggs, sugar, heavy cream, vanilla extract, and salt. A couple of things I want to talk about before we start this recipe is chocolate. Buy good chocolate. I use Trader Joe's chocolate. It's close to my house. It's a great deal. They have great chocolate. How about you try and sponsor me, Trader Joe's? Look me up. It's reasonably priced, it's delicious, you can eat it out of hand. You do not want to use chocolate chips for this. Chocolate chips are great for cookies, but it's not the best quality chocolate. So find a nice quality chocolate that you like to eat by itself and then get that. Don't use chocolate chips for this. I keep a little container of instant espresso powder in my pantry because this is one of those things that adds a little more chocolatey flavor to chocolate. You don't necessarily taste the coffee, but it gives a really nice boost of chocolate flavor to chocolate desserts. And I'm not using a lot. I have about a quarter of a teaspoon here. So you just need a little and it gives you a really nice boost to your chocolate flavor. Now I know not everyone makes their own vanilla extract. I do. It actually started out, my sister-in-law gave us some vanilla extract for Christmas and I took it and kind of bulked it up. I had some of this Greek brandy here that we really weren't drinking and it had some really nice vanilla notes to it. So I took whatever my sister-in-law had left over, I put it all in there. I had some vanilla beans that I had scraped out, I put it in there and I make some really nice vanilla extract. So try and find a good vanilla extract for this, right? Again, you don't want to cheap out with the artificial stuff. At the end of the day, this is a very simple dessert, believe it or not. And the quality of your ingredients matters here. So choose good ingredients and you'll have a better dessert. So this is the easy part. I have my chocolate, it's in a heat-proof bowl. I put it over a double boiler. So this is just water that's come to the boil and I'm gonna let this melt. What's great about it is you can dump everything in right now. So I put my heavy cream in, my espresso powder. Oop, get all that espresso powder in. And I have my salt. And what we're gonna do is just let this melt over the double boiler until everything is melted, all the chocolate is melted and it's combined really well. It's gonna get to a point where everything kind of looks like it's broken and curdled and weird. Don't worry about it, it'll come together, I promise. So just have the water on kind of medium high. It doesn't need to boil, but we do want this to get hot and to melt. If you want, you could chop the chocolate up a lot smaller and this will melt a lot quicker. But for me, it's a matter of 2 or 3 more minutes and it's a cutting board I don't have to wash. So I'm being a little lazy and I just break the chocolate off with my hands. It takes maybe 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, and I'm not really too worried about that. Like I said earlier, it's gonna get to a point where it looks like it's splitting and it's not coming together. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. So at this point, I've shut my heat off, the water's still hot, and I'm just gonna kind of keep stirring until there's no more lumps and the chocolate is totally melted. So the chocolate is totally melted. This bowl is hot, be careful, I have a towel. I'm gonna take that chocolate, put it on the towel, and I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes so it's not scorching hot because I don't want to add the yolks when this is super, super hot. So I'm going to give it a few minutes just to cool lightly and then we can get the eggs ready. So while our chocolate is cooling, I'm just going to break these eggs and separate them. I want whites in here, yolks in the bowl, and you want to be really careful not to get any fat in your egg whites or else they won't whip up, right? So just be really careful when you're separating them that you don't break the yolk and that you only have whites in your bowl. Make sure your bowl is nice and clean and that there's no fat in that either, right? Because you want these to like whip up really light and fluffy. So be really careful about that. And then I'm gonna take my cream of tartar and plunk that into my whites, right? Put the yolks aside. I have the sugar aside as well. And then we're gonna whip up these whites. Got my egg whites and my cream of tartar into the mixer, and then I'm gonna set my mixer up and I'm gonna start running it. I have the sugar over here as well. And what I'm gonna do is gonna whip these and add the sugar slowly as they whip. So this is gonna take a few minutes. I'm gonna add a little sugar now, and then we'll just whip them until they get nice kind of medium to medium firm peaks. And I'll show you what that means in a sec. So here we go. Let me just check if they're ready. What I like to do is this. You take the whisk out, you hold it up, you get a little drip there, and you hold it up. And you see how it immediately folds over? Those are soft peaks. We want this peak to stand up. So we want to go a little longer in our whipping. So we'll let it go a little longer. All right, I think we're ready. Let's check it out. Right, earlier we had very soft peaks. What I'm looking for is when I take the whip out, I have a little peak and it kind of stands up. And that's what I want. That's our nice medium firm to firm peaks. So let's get rid of the mixer and then we can finish this up. So the finishing of this dish kind of goes a little quick, so I try and have everything I need close by. I have a couple of little coupe glasses because I'm trying to be fancy, but whatever I don't use in these coupe glasses, I have a container. So you want to have your containers ready because this comes together fairly quick once you get to this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my egg yolks. The chocolate mixture is still pretty warm, right? And if you're afraid of raw yolks, you can probably buy some pasteurized yolks for this. And all I'm going to do with that is mix it in. I'm going to add my vanilla. So whenever I have homemade vanilla, I give it a shake. So I get some of those vanilla beans. This also adds a little bit of a boozy element, which I like, right? Put that in and mix it in really good. Get it really mixed in good. You have a nice smooth mixture at this point. It smells delicious. Like I said, good chocolate makes all the difference here. Right, get it all mixed in really good. And then we're gonna do the fold. And this is where it's really important to pay attention, right? I have my egg whites all whipped up with the sugar. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about 1/3 of this at this point. I'm not gonna use it all. And that like nice scoop is going to be what I use to lighten this mixture up. So I'm not really worried about keeping the air in this batch, right? It's going to lighten up my chocolate, but I'm not really too worried about stirring too much here, right? When we add the bulk of the egg white, that's when we're going to worry about beating all of the air out. Like right now, I'm not really too worried. I'm just going to get this chocolate mixture kind of light and fluffy, right? And you notice how I'm turning the bowl. I'm kind of going from underneath. At this point, I can add the bulk of my egg whites, the rest of my egg whites, right? And we're going to do the fold and the folding method, right? We want it to be this to be folded in. We want to keep as much air in there as humanly possible. So we're going to just go to the center, fold over the top, and we're going to fold. I scrape my sides. So we're going to the center, folding over the top, and we're trying to keep as much air as possible in this, right? We don't want to stir. We want to do this nice folding method. It lifts the bottom, puts it over the top, and it's going to give us a nice, airy, finished chocolate mousse, right? If there's some streaks in there, right, we don't have to beat those streaks out, but we do want to try and make it one homogeneous color. I think that's really good right there, okay? So I can move this out of the way. I'm going to get my glasses. This is going to be quite a trick here. Right? Like I said, if you want to be fancy, you put them in a fancy coupe like that. I suppose you could just leave it in this bowl if you want. But I like to put it into a container where I have a lid. My rectangular container has a lid. Now, it's really important right now that you get it in the fridge right away. You want to get this in the fridge so that the chocolate starts to solidify around those beautiful egg white bubbles. And you keep it nice and fluffy. So what I'm going to do, get rid of my bowl. I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it set up. All right, now is my favorite time to taste. I got one for me and one for my camera lady. This coupe actually is a really great size because it's a good portion, right? It's super rich, it's super delicious. And I've been guilty this past week of eating way too much chocolate mousse. So I feel like this is a good portion size. You could garnish this with whipped cream, berries, whatever you want. I'm just going plain and simple. It's a really delicious dessert by itself. But again, if you want to go crazy, garnish it however you want it. So I got my trusty Star Wars tasting spoon. I'm going to put that aside for my camera lady and I'm going to give this a taste. Let's get in there. I want you to see the fluffiness here first, right? So get a big scoop. I probably won't be able to eat that big scoop, but look at that. Super light, super airy. It's got lots of bubbles in it. I'm not going to eat the whole thing. I'm going to take a little bit of a bite of this. Man, light, airy, fluffy, chocolatey, decadent, delicious. All those words come to mind. And I said, you don't need a lot of it. I'll probably eat all this and go back for a second one. But end of the day, it's really not that hard. It's kind of an easy dessert to make that has a high impact. Super delicious. You will not disappoint with this chocolate mousse. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We have merch in the description down below. We got some new stuff. It says salty and it says Protocooks on the back. I want to thank my Patreon patrons for all your support. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And that is my chocolate mousse. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a sweet day.